I'm a caretaker on Seguin Island. Entry 5, The Ones Who Gave Up. Written by NewUnknowns. So, I have a theory. Moira and the others mentioned how the salesman takes our souls. But I don't think that he has them, at least yet. We're all making our own decisions. And we don't eat, and that leads me to believe that we are dead. But we do sleep, which is bizarre. The strangest thing about it is that I dream. I dream a lot, every night in fact. My dreams are so vivid that it's like I'm living another life. I don't really know how else to describe it. The dreams all circle around a central theme. I'm still the same person, but it's like I made all these different decisions. For one thing, I'm married and with children, and I'm happy about it. I'm not too sure what to make of it all. The last few times I've slept, I've been having the same dream of waking up each morning in my bed next to my beautiful wife, whom I love very much and seem to have known my entire life. And then I see my 2 little boys peeking at me from our bedroom doorway. I can even feel the smile on my face, and it feels good. There's laugh lines etched in my forehead when I look in the mirror. There's no nasty indent on my cheekbone, and my teeth are straight and pearly white. And I'm really happy. As much as I love these dreams, it seems to be making my reality that much harder. It's as if I'm being shown everything that I could have had, everything that I could have been. And yet, these are the choices I have made, and now I'm here. I asked Moira about this, and she seems to be having a similar experience. Except her dreams are different. She dreams of the life that she already had. I'm sitting out back on my porch in a purple robe, she said, and I could tell that she was there in her mind as she explained it to me. She described it so vividly that I could picture myself there with her. The weather's just a little bit chilly. I've got a large glass of Merlot, while the girls are playing tag in the yard. My husband's stoking the toasty flames in the chimenea, and I'm content in my chair under the setting sun. She sighed as she came back from her daydream. It's all that I can think about when I'm awake. How I long to have it again. Who wouldn't, I said, and shrugged in agreement. We should ask the others whether it's happening to them too. Which, that brings me back to my point. We must still have our souls. There must be some other step before the salesman can really have them. He may have trapped us here, but he needs more than trickery and craft to take what's truly magical inside of us. If we hold on to hope, then we hold on to our souls. Maybe I've just completely lost it. Only time will tell. The first night that I met everybody in the cave, I decided I'd check things out on my own. I needed to see it all for myself so that I could understand what we were up against. I didn't want to be responsible for anybody or diffusing any more potential blows between Moira and Trunks. The ruined lighthouse and the keeper's quarters were surrounded by black rock mountains. Trunks was right. They were somewhat easy to climb as they weren't too steep. As I climbed up the first few feet, I could hear what began as a low rumble that seemed to resonate all around. The mountain underneath me shook. Why do I have a bad feeling about this? I thought. As I continued my hike up, the rumbling intensified. The mountain shook violently, and I grabbed whatever sturdy rocks I could to steady myself. I looked down over at the lava surrounding the island. A whirlpool was beginning to form a bit off the shore. Massive waves were crashing as it started to dip into itself, forming a hole. I heard a high-pitched shrill sound before a giant serpent's head emerged from inside. Its body just kept coming, higher and higher into the sky from the hole. Its glowing eyes, red like fiery coal, watched my every move. The beast looked at me and let out another huge scream, sending a stream of blue flames shooting through the sky. I stood there as the serpent watched me in its liquid fire, waiting for my next move. The blaze enveloping its entire snake-like body gave off such heat that it was hard to breathe. We were at a standstill, a standoff, if you will. It was daring me to keep going, and I needed to see if I could get inside. After what Violet had said, maybe I'd be able to get back my laptop and a few other things. I had come this far. I had to see it through. I took a deep breath and I sprinted as hard as I could to the keeper's quarters in the sky. The beast in the lava sallied through the waves towards the shore. Its shrieks pierced my ears as I closed the distance to the door. When I reached for the door handle, it rippled as my arm went straight through. I lost my balance in the rush and I tumbled all of the way inside. I turned back to see the closed door of the keeper's quarters, as if everything were back to normal. I felt dizzy and sick, so lightheaded that I thought maybe I'd pass out, but at least everything was quiet. I could see a little sunlight peeking through the window. For only a moment, I finally had some peace. So I sat on the floor and I reveled in the silence. I considered just staying there. I really wanted to, but I had already failed Moira once. I couldn't bear to do that again. Plus, Violet was waiting for me on the other side, and I couldn't let that little girl down. I headed over to my little folding table where I had set up my laptop, and there it was. I snatched it up and headed over to the kitchen. I had this idea that I was going to bring back all of these things, but what did we need? We were dead, so I didn't think that we needed any food or water. And it's not as if we needed fire. The island was full of it. So I grabbed the flashlight that Moira had given me on the first night, and I tucked it into my back pocket. Time to be a hero for the first time in your life, I thought. So don't go and blow it. I readied myself, and I pushed the door open. Outside of the door was hell, eagerly awaiting for my return. I heard the shrieks of the beast in the lava. I stepped through the door to face it all, and I found comfort in knowing that this time it was by choice. As everything tumbled back upside down, I shook off the sick feeling and I booked it back to the cave. This whole experience has been whipping you into shape fast, Wolf, Moira said. Ha ha, hysterical, I said sarcastically. But yeah, I think it has. Trunks was standing off on his own outside of the cave. He had his arms folded, looking over to the lighthouse in the sky. The lighthouse is our ticket out of here. It's gotta be, he said to himself, and then he turned to me. Hey, how'd you make out? Violet's right, I confirmed. You cross over when you go inside the buildings in the sky. Everything turns back over on itself, back to normal. Hey, what's that in your hand? Is that a laptop? Trunks asked, pointing at my waist. Huh, yeah, it's mine, I said. Wow, it's thin. But what are you gonna do with that? Google a way out? Well, I was going to see if there was internet. Man, I felt stupid as I said that. The laptop did work, though. We've already covered that, but when I tried looking up any information about our situation, I didn't have any luck, so go figure. Mister, you're back. I was afraid that you'd be eaten by one of the monsters, Violet said as she ran over and hugged my legs. No, I'm too big of a meal for them today, I said. They weren't hungry enough. I tried to make light of it. I didn't tell Violet that I was 2 seconds away from being the serpent's torched lunch. Violet's father came out from the cave and he heard all of us talking. Good day, Wolf. Did you happen to see anyone in your travels back? I thought that I heard a commotion a few moments ago. No, sir, I didn't. What exactly did you hear?" "That's unsettling. I wish you hadn't said that." Moira shivered. "Well, it sounded like voices, but it was quiet. I assumed that it was you all talking amongst yourselves, but I don't think that it was," he said, and he pushed the curls of his mustache down, trying to tame it away from his nose. "I still hear them, so everybody be quiet." There were voices. They sounded like whispers, and there were a lot of them. "Oh no, don't tell me they found us," Trunk said anxiously. He was pacing back and forth in front of the cave. "Who are they?" I asked. "They are the ones who gave up. There's another group of people here, if you even want to call them that," Trunks exclaimed. "Nobody likes talking about them. They gave up and they kind of lost it. I haven't ever seen them before, but from what I've heard, they aren't people that you want to mess around with." "They are hunters," Violet's father interrupted. "They gave their souls away to the salesman, and now their only job is to hunt us. They are terrible beings. The evil does something to their physical form. I'm afraid they are no longer human." "Has anybody ever seen them?" Moira asked him. "Yes, a few of us have. My wife, Violet, and I have been here for some time. We had run into them long ago, and most of us made it. My wife did not. I tried to help her. I tried to pull her away from them, but alas, they were too strong. They tore her limb from limb like wild, mindless animals driven by pure instinct. I stood there in horror, watching them feast on her flesh. They seemed to forget that I was even there for a moment. I said my goodbyes, scooped up Violet, and ran here with the others," he said. "How could you let them take your wife?" Trunks asked. He sounded disgusted. "You should have been there for her. What kind of husband are you?" "They will stop at nothing to kill us. And they won't do it quickly. The more suffering that the soul endures, the more energy that it provides to the host." The voices began to grow louder. They were no longer whispers at all. Moira and I crept around the side of the mountain to look, and that's when we saw them. I couldn't make out much in the darkness. I remembered that I had the flashlight, so I flicked it on. In the distance was a tall, large figure that led a fairly large-sized group. He had long, curling horns coming from the top of his head. His arms were massively long and bulky. His knuckles dragged along the ground beside his feet with each step. Behind him, demons of all shapes and sizes followed. They were humanoid in form, but their skin hung off their bones like old cloth. Some had boils, filled with pus and gray slime all over their bodies. They walked almost like zombies, with a harsh, awkward gait. At the end of the group was a huge, fat-looking one being dragged by a chain, tied to a metal collar around its neck, like a leash. Its skin was old and looked like it was melting off its face. A massive, double-sided axe was tucked deep inside of a huge slice in its chest. Holding the leash was the most human-looking of them all. He was pale and had long white hair and a white beard. When he saw me, he gave me a sinister grin and waved. The leader let out a loud, deep battle cry as if signaling to the others to charge. He got low and galloped on his feet and knuckles, gaining tremendous speed as they headed our direction. I yelled the only sensible thing that I could think of. "Run! Run to the lighthouse, now!"